Good morning, everyone. It is March 11th, a Thursday, and this is Nadex Morning Analysis. I am Todd Rich with Nadex. With me from Keep Trading Simple, Brian Caprice. Before we jump into hot spots on what to be looking at today for potential opportunities in the market, I do need to share this quick disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone. That any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. All right, there are two stories that we're going to talk about today. We're going to take a look at what's going on. One is the European Central Bank just came out with their report on what they're going to be doing with rates. So we're going to take a quick look over at the euro, and then we'll follow that up with how the U.S. equities are digesting and assimilating the information around the stimulus package and the CPI, the inflation data in the U.S. from yesterday. So, Brian, let's start off with what's going on with the euro. I'm going to flip this over to you, and we can talk about that.
Yeah, so 7:45 this morning, we had the monetary policy statement, the main refinancing rate, and right now we're still kind of in the middle of the press conference. So we're going to see headlines kind of pop in probably the next half hour or so. You'll see ECB will monitor exchange rates, the uncertainty. Inflation is picked up mostly due to, I don't even know what this one says here. Now I'm curious. Due to transitory factors. One of the biggest things, and this is the rate statement. If you guys want to read it, it is a little bit difficult to read. You may say, hey, what the heck is this red and green here? This is what was removed from last time versus what they added now. The biggest piece of this that I think that is important is their kind of buyback program is called the PEPP, or the Pandemic Emergency Purchase Program. And their program is spelled differently than ours, just for the record. You know, it's French. Basically, what they're saying is they're going to continue doing it, but even at a significantly faster pace. And I think that's some of the language that we really need to dive in here and look at. If they had, if everything that they were doing, if it was working, would they be significantly increasing the pace? The answer is probably no. We're seeing a lot of countries start to tear back. Canada, the UK, the United States is probably going to tear back a little bit. They're going to accelerate, meaning that they feel that they are behind in their recovery. And again, that's an important thing to kind of keep your eyes on. And then there's additional data coming out. And again, like headlines just popped up here about the uncertainty remains, inflation is picked up. That's great for gold. That should definitely help gold out there. And again, as this continues through and as the press conference rolls on, there will be more headlines that pop. You can see that they're all coming over here in the latest stories. The ECB sees 2021 inflation at 1.5%. 1% in December, which is, again, not what their mandate is. So they're going to keep this low interest rate environment going. And again, saying that you see inflation, but then having it only come in at 1.5, it's kind of one of those things for gold. It's kind of like, hey, they saw inflation, but it's not what it's supposed to be or what's recommended for a healthy economy. So It's not quite there yet. And that's kind of moved things around. So like I said, we will be seeing kind of things pop in. Todd, you wanted to jump across the gold, right?
No, actually, I thought we would take a look. Let's just take a look at euro pound, because we talked about that yesterday. Let's just take a look at euro pound, and if you wanted to, we could take a look at the euro dollar briefly, and then I think we should look at gold before we jump over to the equities.
Okay. So we talked about euro pound, and we mentioned yesterday that we're inside of this 4-hour area of demand, but we're literally riding right down the middle of the channel. One of the things that I mentioned yesterday, and the way that I handle news mostly, is before the news release comes out, I drop down to the 30-minute level and see if I can find areas of buyers and sellers. Now, if we drop down to the 30-minute chart here, you can see that we obviously had an area here from yesterday that we had a pop, a pullback, and a test, as well as another test sitting right here of that level. So here was the European Open. If you guys can see it right here where my cursor is going. The European Open drove us up right into this level, and this one actually hit about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and continues to push us down, and then here was the actual release. All right, so yeah, it dropped, and it was a decent move. I mean, when I say decent, it's about 22 pips. It's a smaller time frame. We are sitting in a much, much higher area, but the reason why we're bringing it up right now is because yesterday, if you guys remember, actually all this week, we said when this zone finally breaks, eventually all the buyers are going to be gone, right? They cannot support it forever, but a break of 85.46 really kind of opens us up, especially in the larger time frames, to kind of overtake this area here, this white rectangle. Say that like 10 times fast. White rectangle. With only half a cup of coffee. But again, we have targets down here at 84.61, 84.07. So again, looking for that break. Another thing that we mentioned, Euro dollar, we've been talking about this one for a little while. It was actually a 4-hour level that we really liked, a little hiccup, a little kind of speed bump that it ran into. And then we refined it on the smaller time frame. So whether you use a 30-minute or an hourly, again, you can see that price was pushing right into that level right when the news was coming out. Now, I like this for a number of different factors. Again, this is kind of a very accelerated kind of pace forward. And same thing, this one kicked in really about 2 o'clock this morning. Remember, a lot of the market and buying and selling is just like what we do at the supermarket, right? When you like, they give you those flyers of coupons, right? When we see a sale, what do? We go to the store. If you knew that this was most likely going to be negative for the euro, what would you want to do? Would you want to crash the price so you're selling it lower, or would you want to raise the price up so when you're shorting and selling it, you're getting more money for it? You want to get more for it, right? So we watched price rise up, based right there. News came out, and we started the collapse of the downside. Now at this point, it's more kind of a dollar story. The European news is out. Right now, we're seeing it kind of kick back, but I would say that I'm still bearish this one, and it's the same sentiment with the euro yen. We talked about it. It's already moved a little bit too far for us to do much with it today, but I think the euro dollar is a decent level here. We've seen some basing to the downside. So same story.
All right.
Euro dollar, euro pound down.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I actually wanted to point out there. One, on the euro pound, and we're just taking a look here. I mean, it looks like it's race tracking. I mean, we're on a shorter time frame. This is just the last few days. But when the report came out, the euro got hit. This is, the euro's getting weak. The pound is getting stronger again. This is that level. If we go way out, I mean, this is what Brian was talking about. Is it's basing down here, and I'd have to go back further in time. Just to be able to fit it all on here, we're seeing it base in here, and will it eventually fall through? So there is this opportunity here. Now I'm going to come all the way back into this, a little bit of a shorter time frame, and get a nice glimpse at it. If the euro is going to break down against the pound and continue lower, there is an opportunity here. By the way, it did move, 3 binary strikes. I mean, this was definitely an opportunity to trade around that news, something that Brian will be talking about next week at our Tuesday education event. The other thing I just wanted to mention about the euro pound is you might see pound strength continue, but be aware in tonight at 1 a.m. Central, so it is 2 a.m. Eastern. The UK will actually be releasing their GDP data. So this trade could get kind of interesting when the UK announces, if you wanted to look for an opportunity at, and you were up at looking in the evening, and early morning, middle of the night, there could be a move here. So I just wanted to kind of point that out. While this might make a move today, we might see something change when the UK releases their GDP data, 2 a.m. Eastern. The other thing I wanted to point out, Brian, you mentioned the euro US dollar, and it is seeing, let's just bring this up real quickly. Anything, just give me anything. Let's just give us a chart here. The euro has been rising in the last 3 days: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Here we go. The euro's gaining strength. Now it's more of a dollar story, and we got to wait and see it. But when you back this out again, the euro did catch a bottom. I mean, the euro was getting absolutely annihilated through February and into March. And it's just recently it's been rallying back. So at some point you actually might see this roll over. So it's just
the
good to
market
kind of see
moves
those
in
trends.
impulse correction. Those are the normal cycles, and people don't realize that. That again, this could be the correction cycle and a further impulse to the downside.
So, which just further emphasized what you were just talking about. All right, I want to keep us moving along this morning. You know what? I don't know if let's just go to the equities. Let's take a look at with the stimulus, more money coming into the economy, CPI, inflation was there, but then we saw that, yes, inflation's up in the US, but almost, most of that, I think a super majority of it was oil, was the price of gasoline.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I mean, two things we talked about yesterday. We talked about YM, about the Dow, and I mentioned, hey, listen,
Dow and Nasdaq. Yeah,
there's no way to get and try to, there was no place to see a short. We were really looking, and again, I drew some fibs out there for people of profit targets to the top side, using the Fibonacci extension. I said, if we could pull back to the 32,000, again, we're looking for areas to go long, and we really just haven't gotten much. There's a small one this morning, but with stimulus being passed and oil being more, I mean, the Dow was just looking for new highs. That's it. It was just looking for new highs, and there really wasn't. Again, there's uncertainty taken off the table. In the environment we're in, everything that we're getting from the stimulus helps out the Dow. So again, I think we're in a similar situation. Right now, I will say, I mean, if you drop across the daily, oh, by the way, I didn't mention it before, but if you guys don't know, on Daily FX, there's analyst picks as well out there. I wouldn't say that I am an analyst, although I do a lot of this kind of stuff, but they actually agree with us on the Euro Pound outlook. So again, if you guys have never been to Daily FX, drop in these analyst picks. If you guys want to learn more about some charting, they do have some interesting chart setups in there, but they're going with us. But looking at Wall Street over here, now it's 78. It was 77 a little while ago. The majority of people are like, no, we need to short Wall Street. We need to get short that sucker. But for what reason? I would say for what reason? Vaccines are being produced. J&J just got another 100 million doses purchased. Stimulus came out. Biden is getting ready to have his first speech. And again, I highly doubt he's going to be super negative. It's his first one, right? He's going to highlight all the good things out there, all the good things that are coming, right? He's not going to talk about, oh, this is bad. We haven't seen the worst yet, right? It's going to be great stuff, especially now that the stimulus package. So, I mean, there's a lot of feel-good stuff out there. And again, seeing the numbers that we have, I don't know, a lot of times when you see this skewed this far in one direction, people are like, oh, everything else is bad, but understand why is it going higher? So, I do feel like YM, I mean, there's some areas in here, we've obviously seen a bit of a bounce coming off this level right here. That may be an area where we kind of take off. Where's my price label? Right in here. And again, this is 32,291 or 298 down to 32,246. That could be the next launch area. But again, with everything going on, as far as high as the economy is, more stimulus coming, no inflation, so they're not raising interest rates. We're not putting a cap on there. All those are good things. So I mean, really, we're looking for great levels. And NQ wise, we are actually sitting at a level right now.
Before we jump over there, I just wanted to kind of show this real quickly before we go there. And
maybe
that's
it's super coffee today.
We're gonna, yeah, and that's probably where we'll wrap up on the Nasdaq. I do want to remind everyone, we are seeing a little bit of a sector rotation. As people are they're reassessing risk. We've seen a shift a little bit away of some of these high growth tech stocks back into some of these more stable blue chip stocks. I mean, and we've been talking about this, lower PEs, more stable cash flow. They're not totally leveraged up. So there is a shift, a mindset, as people are wondering. They want to keep their money in the equities. They want to stay invested, but they might want to be doing a little bit of a shift in risk. Dow hitting all-time highs. I just brought up these are the daily call spreads and it's really kind of nice when you could see what the range is, that being the floor and the ceiling for the call spread, and you can quickly see where these call spreads are on the Nadex platform. But if you thought that we were going to continue just to rally a bit through the day, there are ways to play this very limited risk, defined risk, defined reward, where you have an opportunity to participate to the upside with some limited downside exposure. So something for you to take a look at. These are the call spreads, not the knockouts, the call spreads, which give you a little bit of optionality. You're not knocked out of the trade. It's you pay a little bit of a premium for it, but it gives you that optionality, gives you an opportunity to participate and not get knocked out of a trade if you're playing too close to one of the floor or the ceiling. Brian, yeah, I'm going to flip this back over to you and let you do NASDAQ real quickly, because then I want to let everyone get ready for the open in 30 minutes.
Yeah, so you're talking about sector rotation. We talked about the high-flying tech stocks. This is Zoom, right? This is a daily on Zoom. So you can see, where's the trend in Zoom? And we've had a nice little pop because of earnings, and earnings have provided pops. But after that, there was earnings. Here was earnings very, very fast, right? And again, when you see look at the prior earnings, they're going back down when we were in peak of COVID. So remember, the tech stocks really, really benefited from remote working, staying at home, not being out there. Now that again, where's the growth coming from? Are more people going to stay home? Probably not. So again, things like the NQ over here are a little bit more important to look at. And again, they're rotating back, as you mentioned, back into things like stocks and things like that benefit from people leaving their homes, going out to restaurants again, going out to the movie theaters, things that are less obviously tech specific. Here's a small level. We talked about it yesterday. You can see that it's having some major issues right here, right at this point now as well. And again, such a big rally up yesterday. More money is great for everybody. They finally passed it. More money's out. We're hitting a level now, kind of put a little bit of a failure to go higher in. So could there be a push back to the downside early this morning? Sure, there could be. We could actually rally down or, kind of drop down to this level, hit 10 o'clock and roll back up again. I think that's important to note. And then again, any other type of speeches or anything else to drive us higher, I think 13,170 is also important to keep on your radar. But two profit targets to the downside if NQ flips today would be 12,842 and 12,749.
All right. So let's just kind of recap real quickly, high level. ECB came out with their report of what's going on in the Eurozone. We saw the Euro turn around, lose strength against the pound, and it's down at some pretty low levels. And it, this might be the level where it breaks down a little further, but just keep in mind that could change in the middle of the night tonight when the UK announces their GDP numbers. So just something to be looking at. The euro US dollar, the euro has been strengthening against the dollar, but it's been, in the last couple months, it's been in a downtrend. It did catch a bottom, but we might be looking for a little bit of a rollover in this area. And Brian explained some of the psychology behind that. We did talk about how the U.S. equities catching a wave, but it's there is the sector rotation. Dow at all-time highs. Nasdaq keeps pushing higher, but it's having some of its own issues as people rotate risk and assess for what's going to happen eventually when we get out of this COVID situation. Brian, do you just want to mention, something to look at for tomorrow? Canadian unemployment, 8:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning. What to look forward to? Canadian unemployment. So 8:30 Eastern. Keep an eye on that. U.S. CAD could be an interesting trade. So not only are we talking about today, 8:30 a.m. Tomorrow morning. Look at that U.S. CAD opportunity. There could be something when they come out with their unemployment report. Got any questions for Nadex? Please email us, customerservice@nadex.com. Brian, very accessible. If you got any questions for him, please email him, support@keeptradingsimple.com. With that, I think we've kind of covered quite a bit, gave you some opportunities to look at for today, as well as tonight. If you're up in the middle of the night with for the pound, or first thing tomorrow morning with the loonie, the Canadian dollar. With that, want to wish everyone good luck in the markets, and we will catch you tomorrow.